What's up guys, I'm Chirag and welcome to part 16 of the tutorial series on Python basics tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to cover the pass statement in Python. So as you can see on my screen, this is the pass statement that we are going to cover and its syntax is same as what I have mentioned, that is PASS, right? So the pass statement is similar to comment in Python but in a manner. So while we add comments, the interpreter ignores it, whereas the pass statement is not ignored by the interpreter, right? So now the question is that when can we use the pass statement? So let's try to understand the same with an example. So let's say we have a variable that is var equal to 0 and we want to implement the if and else condition, but whenever the value of the variable is 0, I don't want to do anything, but I also want to define if condition at the same time along with the else part, right? So how can we achieve this? So let's say I have this if condition, if var or the variable double equal to 0, then I don't want to do anything, but at the same time I also want to define the else condition and the if statement also, right? So in that case what we can do is we can say pass. This will basically do nothing. This is basically the empty code. And then we can define the else part and we can say print it's not 0 or something like this, right? So let's try to run this. So I will say python 3 pass underscore p16.py, and as you can see it ran successfully. It didn't print anything because the value of the variable is 0, and as a result the if condition on the line number 7 becomes true and it simply said pass. It means do nothing, right? Now in case if I go ahead and change the value of this variable to 10 or something else other than 0, then it will say it's non-zero as an outcome, right? So this is how pass statement will work in Python. So now let's try to understand the pass statement with another example. So let's say we want to define a for loop but we don't want to implement it, right? So we don't want to define the body of that for loop, but at the same time we want to define it, and let's say we want to implement the body for that for loop in the future. So how we can do that? So it's quite simple. Let me comment this, and let's say I have a for loop for I in range 10, right? So I want to define this for loop but I don't want to implement this body. So now if I leave this for loop without the body and try to run this, then it will throw an error. So let me try to run this. So it says syntax error, unexpected end of file while parsing, right? So in that case what we can do is we can simply say pass. This is basically the empty code or the empty body for a given statement or the given for loop, right? And now if I go ahead and run this, it's not going to throw an error, right? So similarly we can use pass statement to define empty class and empty function, right? So we have not covered function yet, but I will simply show you. So let's say I want to define a function, let's say sample function, right? And I don't want to define the body, I want to leave this empty, right? So what I can do is I can simply say pass, and if I go ahead and run this, it's going to run successfully and it will not throw an error, right? Now I will implement this function, or I will implement the body or add on the body in the near future, right? So this is how you can define empty function, empty class, right, using a pass statement. So it's a very simple statement but it's powerful, right? So well, that's all I wanted to cover in this tutorial, and as usual if you want me to do tutorial on any use case or service, then please leave them below and I will try my best to come up with the tutorial as soon as possible. And if you have any queries or comments, then again please leave them below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.